Let's take a look at the code. You'll see lots of parts that are familiar from the previous two examples. The HTML is pretty much the same, and you'll recognize the less than $PHP in line 8 and the question mark greater than sign in line 18 as being tags that indicate the start and end of a PHP code block. In this program, there are two PHP code blocks. Can you find them? Yep, one is located from lines 8 to 18. The second code block is located in line 19. The first block, lines 8 to 18, is the main show. Like previous pieces of PHP, you'll see three variables are being defined. How many times, just a counter, and a name. Nothing surprising here. But the next line, line 13, is new. You'll see while, followed by a comparison in parentheses. This looks a lot like the if statement we saw in days and month. The lines following the while statement, lines 14, 15, and 16, do things, just like in days and month. Now, after that is another line of text, line 19, with a PHP code block that prints a final statement. Run the code again so you can see what happens. Now, as usual, feel free to dive right in and change things. By now, you'll have an idea of changes you can make that will simply break the code and prevent it from running. You'll also have an idea of changes you can make that will change the way the program runs. Be sure to change the values in the variables. For example, change the number in how many times. I'm going to change it to 7. And then I'm going to run it. File, save. I'll switch to my browser and run Lost My Homework. That's interesting. And the change is obvious. Let's go back to our code. Now, change the value in just a counter. I'm going to change it to 3. And then save it and go back to the browser. Hit refresh. That's a little more subtle. Can you see how just a counter changes things? For a really interesting change, change while to if. Now, let's save our changes and go back to the browser and see how that changes things. What do you think the difference is between while and if? Now, change how many times back to 10, just a counter back to 1, if back to while, and then let's go ahead and comment out just a counter. Go ahead, hit File, Save, flip back to your browser, and hit Refresh. Well, that's curious.